for their mind share with Squid Game. Like Squid Game's really compelling. You got to be better than Squid Game to get them to reopen. You know, they're sitting at work at home right now going, my TV's right over there, right? That's your competition, not your. People think other businesses are competition. I say this a lot. It's not other businesses. It's the couch, right? You're competing with the couch, and so you need to be more compelling. Thankfully, you know, I think most people are using your app. They downloaded your app for a reason, and so I think if you can come back and figure out what that reason is and tell a story around it, you can really get people to engage. So next up is content. So part of the way of getting people to engage is stale apps don't get repeat customers, right? Content is one of the content and features are some of the easiest ways to get people to re-engage with your app. And through it, it's no surprise that's what your development team's working on. That's what your marketing team's working on, right? So Chip, what did you do in games around content and around features? How did you keep the games fresh, and what did you see as a result of that?
Yeah, so just like Sticky, the other battle cry was content is king. So in games, it was a lot of times it was new features, it was new modes of play. If it was a racing game, new tracks, new cars, something that's going to bring them come back. So a lot of times I would look at other apps, and if there's nothing new on a website, the game, why should I come back? A lot of times I go to websites, and the first thing I do is I look at the blog. If you haven't updated your blog in a year or a couple of months, one thing you should do is just take that down right now until you get a content schedule. And so that's what we did. We built content schedules that would update the app. So this content schedule was based usually around a quarter. That would include just content. It would include new features, but also we built things around holidays. For example, Halloween was huge. I did a bowling game, and that was the only time you could get the pumpkin bowling ball. And you could only buy it. You could only buy it during Halloween. Every time people were going, I want the pumpkin bowling ball to complete my collection. It's a collect them all thing. You gotta wait to Halloween. And so we would see a surge in these holidays when they would come up. But also, we wanted to make sure, like you said, come back every single day. So we would have update Thursday, new content Thursday. And we found that worked for us. And we found it out through research of our analytics and talking to other people. We found out that Thursday between noon, roughly Central Time, so that was late afternoon, East Coast, lunchtime on Pacific Time, people wanted something to do and they didn't want to work. So they would check in on the app, or they would check in on something. That's when we would put the new content out. So they're like, oh, cool. And, a lot of times people were like, well, why not Friday? People don't care about Friday. They got plans, pre-COVID, you used to go to happy hour, you used to go out, you used to do something.
My apologies. Whoops. I couldn't hear what you said.
Thanks, Siri. But, the other thing is, if you notice, if you want to bury a headline, do it on Friday. Sports does this all the time. They want to send bad news, they bury it on Friday because people were like, I don't see it. I don't see it. So the other thing that you need to understand is the reason we were able to do that new content Thursdays was we built a easy to use and cheap content management system that we could program a whole month or even a quarter. So it took us maybe one day to do the whole month, and then it was automated. So the pop-ups would come up in the app, the new information would come up. It was all scheduled. And then to make sure that we had people coming back and they had something to do, we created a tournament system that had hourly tournaments, daily tournaments, weekly tournaments, monthly tournaments, because there was people that I can't win the daily tournament. I can't win the weekly tournament, but I can win the 10 a.m. tournament. That's the time I'm playing, or the noon lunch tournament. I can win that one. So it's like, yay, I have time to do that. We then use that tool in all our different games. So we built it once and we reused it, like the spinner, the content, the tournament system, all that stuff. So we try to give them something very interesting to come back to engage with, either content, how to play the game better, new content, new thing to try out, a new car, a new track, a new course to run on. It was always something to keep them coming back.
Yep. Yeah, and getting those routine updates out doesn't have to be expensive.
Right.
You should be thinking, how do I make this economically affordable for me, so that I can continue to get people coming back to my app? That's a really good point. So, yeah, we did on the holiday stuff. We did a solitaire app, one of the biggest solitaire apps on the iPad, and it's amazing how many people flock back for that Halloween wallpaper, for the card deck that has the back that has Santa on it, right? It's a huge part of the revenue for that application. And we've done social networks where people are the content, so it doesn't even have to be you. Get your users to create content. So
Right.
for us on dating, we found out if we send, like you said, at noon, if we send you have 10 new matches, or you have 20 new matches at noon, we know you're going to log in and swipe through while you're in line for your sandwich, right? So if you are a B2B app, you can do a really good job on updates. So you're going to already be doing updates. So instead of doing one big milestone update every quarter, every 6 months, think about, how can I stage this out? How can I stage this out so that people are getting new things every month? So we had a speaker in the last webinar, Tom O'Neill, Get Parallax. Parallax does an amazing job at this. Every few weeks I log in and I have a note saying, hey, you have new features, or I'll get an email with their blog post, learn about our new features. And it's like Christmas for me. I'm a business owner, but I log in every time I see that, because it's so pertinent to my day-to-day experience, and it just feels like they're making my life better all the time, right? So you need to be thinking in terms of, how is my business is a continuum. It's not a product you buy off the box or buy off the shelf and leave alone, and use once a year. This is something you want people to use constantly. And so if it's not improving constantly, you're not going to get that stickiness, and a competitor is going to come in and create that stickiness.